What's up, everyone? Alright, this morning's video we are going to discuss high miles on an engine, which may translate into a 2-in-1 video for anyone who has purchased a used bicycle from someone, be it on Craigslist or some selling site or your neighbor. It doesn't really matter, and you can't get the thing to start. You notice you have good spark to your spark plug. You know that you have fuel going to your carburetor and to your cylinder, but it just will not fire and run. Alright, the story with this motor is actually, it's a good story, and it has a good ending, if you will. This engine is 4 years old. It had been ridden every day through the winter, through the fall, through the spring, all summer, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles on a person's bicycle. They had noticed lately that it had been hard to start. And when I say hard to start, they said that they noticed instead of pedaling a bike length or 2 bike lengths and the engine running, they would have to pedal a few more strokes, which almost seemed to have to help it out to get it running. And it did that for a little bit, and then it just got progressively worse. So this person just purchased a new engine. We put it on there, and he's out motoring around. So I thought this would be the perfect motor just to show people one of the causes of why they quit running when they get high miles on them. And it might even equate to someone checking on a bike they're going to buy that's used that doesn't run or is super hard to start pedal wise. And when I say super hard to start pedal wise, I don't mean you have to stand up and pedal hard on the pedals to move the bicycle. I mean you have to pedal further than you normally would for a motor that is in good shape, if you will. Alright, now this one is a perfect example. Like I said, I've cleaned it up a little bit here and there so you can see the wear marks I'm going to show you. This one has no physical structural damage. By that I mean there's no chunks missing, no piece of metal went up the side of the piston or beat around in between the head and the piston top. This one's just plain and simple, gave all it had to give, and it would like to see a new piston and cylinder. But anyway, back to the case at hand. When your cylinder and bike and new piston are all brand new, and the piston goes up and down in the cylinder to make the horsepower, the piston stays perfectly straight. The skirts, which is the side of the piston, do not hit the piston wall, which is the side of the cylinder wall, I should say, not piston wall. But anyway, as the wear and tear goes on throughout the years, the cylinder wears and gets a little bigger. Just normal wear. What that in case lets the piston do is it goes up and down, and the hole gets a little bigger and it has a little more clearance, allows the piston, when it's running, to wiggle back and forth more than it should in technical terms, and it starts to brush against the side of the cylinder. That is where, where am I at? That is where these marks come in, because you can see it just started to do it, but it did it well enough to make the bike lose compression and not start anymore. Same thing in this cylinder here. If I can get you some good light, you can see the scratch marks in the cylinder going up and down, and they're in the same spot of the cylinder where the wear marks are on the piston. So we know that the piston has brushed against the cylinder wall, creating grooves in it, which in turn lets the compression that is between the piston and the head leak down past the rings and go down in the case of the motor. When that's happening, it's not making any horsepower or squeezing and lighting the fuel up here to run and propel you up and down the street. That is the problem after you get many miles of when you're engine, it's just a common occurrence. You should have had many, many miles of happy riding before this happened. None of this is premature wear. It's just high miles. Cars wear out. Motorcycles wear out. Everything wears out. So he can probably put a piston kit on this and keep this one around as a spare for in the future. That way when your other motor wears out, you swap them over, get the other one fresh. You always got a motor on the shelf, so you don't have to wait for downtime of weeks for your motor to show up or what have you. Now, he did the old compression test, which is not very accurate, and I see guys do it all the time, and I wish they would quit. Put your finger over the hole, rotate the engine, and it should have enough compression to blow your finger off the hole when the piston reaches top dead center. But if the piston doesn't have a hole in it or a big chunk missing, even a wore out piston will give you enough compression just to lift your finger off of the hole when it rotates. So that's not a real accurate way to gauge your compression, if you will. Also, another way to find out if that is your problem, other than taking the head off when the cylinder's on, taking your head off, rotate your bike wheel to get your piston to go down, and then just look inside your cylinder and see if you see the scratches and wear marks. You don't necessarily have to disassemble it like this. I did it just to show you up close and personal what the wear marks look like. Also, your spark plug. If you've taken it out and you've rotated the wheel and you notice that your spark plug is sparking where it's supposed to spark across its diode there, so you know you're getting spark and you know you're getting fuel, the spark plug itself will be wet. This one is not wet, but I am just telling you, when you pull it out, it looks wet. And that is because it does not have enough compression to fire the fuel that is in the cylinder. So that is another telltale. So if you have spark, if you have good and adequate spark, and your plug is wet, generally the cylinder is wore and cannot make the compression to fire the fuel. That's pretty much the long and short of it. If you're buying a bike and it does not run, or the person tells you it does not run, it is always best to check the piston and cylinder, because chances are it is just a wore out motor. They got all the life out of it and they're just trying to sell it to make a few bucks, to maybe get their new motor or whatever the case may be for that person. I just don't really care for when people sell people stuff that don't work without telling them or give them some kind of story, and then they get home and find out they just bought somebody's junk. Nothing angers me more than that. Just be honest with people. If it's wore out, tell them it's wore out, needs a new motor, but it's already set up for a motorized bike, and they won't have to do all that other work, just get a motor. Okay, well, I hope this helps somebody out. If you're having problems starting your bike, or you've had it for 3 or 4 years and you've had no problems, but it's trying to start harder, this could be one of the symptoms of why your bike is not starting as quickly and abruptly as it used to. Okay, well, I just thought I would make this because hopefully it helps somebody out. So stay tuned for the next exciting video that will maybe help you out with your problem. Alright, thanks everybody for watching. I appreciate it if you like and subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell for our next exciting repair videos and how-tos. Alright, everybody, ride safe out there.